Good morning, almost afternoon, and welcome to Women's Health Tech Wednesdays from HIT Lab. I wanted to thank Stan for inviting me. I'm Bunny Ellerin. I'm the director of the Healthcare and Pharmaceutical Management Program at Columbia Business School, and Stan is there as well. I'm also the CEO of New York City Health Business Leaders, which is a professional organization. And I'm here with Dr. Shalja Dixit, who's the CEO of Curio. And Shalja, why don't you give a brief intro?
Hello, thanks Bunny for inviting me, and thanks Stan and HIT Lab. My name is Shalja Dixit. I am CEO of Curio Digital Therapeutics. We'll talk a little bit more about that. I'm a physician by training, actually went to Columbia for my master's from Mailman School and have been affiliated with Columbia. So thanks a lot for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, great. A program note to those who are on, we're not going to have a ton of time for questions, but post them in chat and we'll try and fill them in. So Shalja, you literally just launched this company, Curio. Is that right?
Yeah, the Curio was founded last year amongst this pandemic. I think we'll talk about it, realizing the greater need of it. But yeah, we recently launched it coming out of the stealth mode.
So before we get into that, what is your background, sort of quickly, since we don't have that much time, but you've had an incredible career. So you want to give us the highlight reel?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, no one is perfect. I'm a physician by training, have been in life sciences space for quite some time. Actually, I was faculty at Rutgers, UMDNJ at that time, and then moved on to life sciences, have been in big consulting, and then had my own consulting, and then we started this company fairly.
Cool. Yeah, so you've had a range of experiences, and now you are once again an entrepreneur, a physician entrepreneur. So tell us what Curio is all about.
Thanks again. Yeah, Curio is actually a digital therapeutic company which is solely focused only on women's health. And we give a lot of importance on mind-body connection. So the way we like to present it, it's for a company by women for women. Most of the leadership is also female, so hopefully that brings an empathy factor and understanding of this population, enabled by technology, but based on solid evidence, because we have done a lot of studies to understand, our offerings and what we have been making.
So, women's health traditionally has gotten not a lot of funding, right, relative to other sectors. We're seeing more of it today, but what, in your estimation, is the unmet need that this particular digital therapeutic is solving?
So, very well said, Bunny. We are seeing a focus which I think was needed for a long time. So thankfully, femtech, femhealth, and women-led technologies and companies are gaining some traction. When we started looking at access, stigma as a big issue, especially more profound in female population, that's where we started putting this concept together, that we all know, and all of these problems are even magnified with the pandemic that we are in, right? So having access to the right behavioral health, making sure that women are able to have a safe space without being judged, and stigma to talk about it. Those were the key drivers for us. And we believe that having digital therapeutic not just answers women's unmet need, but there is an impact at large on society, right? If a mother is healthy, a child is healthy, and the society flourishes from there on. So we are not only just talking about an impact on women's health, we're talking about hopefully a larger impact on society per se too, by these digital platforms.
So let's talk about digital therapeutics. I know a little bit about them, and people define them very differently everywhere. Everything from you need a prescription from a doctor to engage to, you just put it out there. So how do you define digital therapeutic?
Very well said again. Yeah, digital therapeutics, actually, as you said, there is a paradigm, right, all the way. The way we are defining digital therapeutic is, in a strictest sense, something which is approved, evidence driven, approved by FDA. So we are taking a regulatory pathway, right?
Oh,
And then, one thing which there has to be when you have FDA approval, there has to be a reimbursement. And along with that, physicians or the care team, like broader care team, needs to come on this journey, right? So not necessarily a prescription from physician, but definitely a qualified care team needs to see that there is a need for a digital therapeutic, and then kind of prescribe it or recommend it to a woman that you need this kind of digital therapeutic to overcome certain indication. So there has to be a clear indication, a clear evidence supporting that indication, and the FDA pathway that we are following through our platform is. And again, as you said, there are other flavors as well, which are equally valid. And I think they also address a lot of unmet need that do exist, direct to consumers and many other. But that's our pathway for digital therapeutic, going through the FDA and definition that has been defined by Digital Therapeutic Alliance.
so as a woman, how would I access this? I mean, do you become my new primary care provider, or my OBGYN? How does it work from the consumer side?
So again, as I said, it has to be assessed by your physician that there is a need, right? So we are looking at multiple indication. We call it life circle of life for women. So every indication is unique in the care setting perspective. So for example, our first indication that we are looking at is postpartum depression. So obviously a OBGYN is involved. And as a woman is going for their prenatal visit and postpartum visit, a physician or a care team recognizes that there is a need by a proper questionnaire, which is used in clinical practice today. So ACOG, American OBGYN Association, recommends having postpartum depression screening for every woman. So once in the screening, a woman is recognized as having a positive screen, they go through, then a physician says that, okay, you need to go through this particular digital program, therapeutic program, and you'll benefit by that.
So then I guess your business model is predicated upon referring physicians?
That this is coming through we are partnering with insurance company. So this has to be approved by your own insurance company and reimbursed. But yes, physicians are very much in the mix. So one of the key things, I think you were alluding to it, is making sure that physician buy-in and the integration in their workflow is important. Right. So that's something that we have worked on. We did multiple Delphi panels talking to physicians across North America to understand what's the right workflow, what's the clinical guidelines today, how this augments the care, not replaces the care. That's one of our key guiding principles. This is a tool to augment the care and meet the unmet needs where the care is not provided today.
So where are you in your growth so far? I mean, are you like towards the beginning, or?
Yeah, one of our product is actually, hopefully, is going to be ready for a commercial launch sometime in Q3 of this year. Another program, we have just launched our Fda Studies. So both of our products are ready. Our innovation is ready. One more mature. We already have a lot of evidence for that one. A lot of two RCTs have been done internationally, and we are ready for launch for that one. And the other one is something that we are, starting our evidence creation RCT.
Is your plan to launch in the US and then internationally, or what are your launch plans?
First US, but we are definitely looking at multiple languages because, as you can imagine, we are big on empathy factor, right? So there is one is the science, which is the intervention, which mostly should be standard, right? But the clinical practice varies and the cultural setting vary as well. Why I'm saying this is that, yes, we don't plan to just roll out internationally the same program. We plan to study the cultural aspect and a woman environment in those cultural aspect, and then adopt it and launch it. So we are in discussion in international launches, actually 2 and 3 countries, but not this year. That will happen next year, because our first focus is US launch, stabilize, and then next year we will go into other international, Europe, and we are looking at Asia as well.
So at the beginning, I did talk about funding for women's health ventures. What's been your funding model so far?
Yeah, so as I said, we are just coming out of our stealth mode. So first was some initial founders, they funded.
Okay.
We had some family office and high net worth people. It's important in the beginning to have funders who support the cause, right? So I think this was more of a calling for some of the family office and high net worth people. They had a story to associate with, and they were willing to take a leap and trust our leadership and what we had. So that has been our funding so far. We are actually starting our next Series A institutional fundraising. So we are almost about to begin our roadshow for that, and hoping to close our Series A this year.
Well, I think it's important to stress this, because there are folks on, or women on, who are starting, ventures and are very early stage. And a question I get a lot is, who are the VCs to go to? And I often say, if you're really early, you really should be looking at friends and family, right? And maybe those family offices. But was that a hard decision for you, or did, because people just naturally don't think about doing that. They, especially, I think sometimes women don't want to ask friends and family.
Yeah, it was actually a very conscious decision that we wanted to only go with friends and family. And the reason for that was I wanted believers to be with me in the beginning, right? There are a lot of when you go to institutional funds, even the seed funds, there are more questions that you have answers, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is beginning of the journey. So first was that, come along, there are unanswered questions, and we were not shy of saying that. But if you believe in the cause and you believe that we have picked something that will have a broader impact, then we want you to come along in this journey. So they had to believe in the leadership, which they believe. They had to believe in the concept that friends and family and these high net worth people believed, and then a vision that they commonly shared. So we did not want to go through. We knew that in beginning there are going to be bumps, there would be some experimentation. So we did not want to. This was a very conscious decision, Bunny. And I advise that if you have a cause, in the beginning, I think you should look at friends and family, because once you have your people who have believed in you come along, other things become easier. And I'm seeing actually institutional funds like that you took some risk, you did it yourself, and then now you have a concept ready. Another thing is, this is my second company. I had also realized that when you don't have, a proof, it's difficult to have other people agree on it, because you are still like in a hypothesis mode, if I may say, right? So for me as a science person, it was important to have a hypothesis. Let's validate it. Let's create some initial evidence, and then we'll go out and ask for money, and that's the approach we have followed.
So tell us a little bit about your first company.
My first company was way back, and actually it was also a digital company, but it was in disease management area. And I did it actually right after I graduated from Columbia University.
Wow.
But there were a lot of things to learn, and I sold it a little too early. So I made a disease management platform actually for South Asian market. And then we sold it to United at that time, but at a very, I think it was really early, but those are the things that you learn. I was eager, I was burning my own cash, and it was not easy. So we just exited out pretty early from that.
So given that, what are some of the other lessons learned from being a first-time entrepreneur and now a second time?
I think the first thing is collect a good team around you. You can't do it alone, and don't shy from asking for help. So my partner in crime is actually my classmate from Columbia University. Okay. We both trusted each other. We know each other for 15 years. We met at Columbia about 14 years back, and ever since we have remained in touch. So that's one thing, we complement each other. There are things I don't know and I don't have all the answers. Probably if I say that I have more than 50% answer, that's a good score. Right? So make sure that you have good team. That's, I think, the first thing. Don't start that. And there are ups and lows. There are days that you feel that, oh my God, what am I doing? You need a good sounding board so that you all can brainstorm, talk about it. So don't be shy. Seek good mentors. Don't be shy of that. As I think you mentioned rightly, that women we are naturally shy of asking for help, right? So go seek mentors, ask for guidance, those people who have done it, and you'll be surprised how many people, if you have a cause which resonates with them, are there to help you out, right? So that's another thing I would say, that I sought good mentors early on. The third was that make sure you do enough validation, right? There's one thing that's saying that there is an unmet need, but obviously nobody has all the answers in the beginning. We should not even pretend we have all the answers in the beginning. So go out and get as much validation. So we did about 6 to 7 months on pure validation, went across with few concept slides, and then went across a ton of OBGYNs, a lot of other pregnant women, or, from our friend group who we knew who might have experienced this, and started getting some validation. So those are two things I would say, which are important. Ask for help, have good team, look for mentors, and ask for more validation.
And I just want to remind folks, if you do have questions, please put them in the chat, because we'd love to hear from you. Given that HIT Lab does do, a lot of startups and talks about it, and women and men on here may be thinking about launching a business. What advice do you have? I mean, you just shared some amazing, tips, like the 3 things, which are absolutely fantastic. Are there other sort of personal things they should think about, or other area, how do they get motivated? How do they get over that kind of hump to actually go and do it?
I think I had a lot of support from family. That's also very important. It's a big leap that I had to take. We are always constantly thinking about, should I have like a stable job that's better, or should I go for the entrepreneurial journey? So make sure that you have had that discussion with whoever your partner, friend, family, whatever your needs are. I think that's important, just to make sure you do that upfront rather than making it an afterthought. That's another thing I would say. Another thing is, when I think, as you said, now is the time. There are a ton of resources for female-led companies, right? So go and seek out. I mean, HIT Lab is a perfect example. What we are doing here, there are other lot of like women network where you can get these resources. So look for those resources, go out and seek them proactively. And all I can say is, you will be surprised at how much of support does exist today. And so many people will come out and help you, will be willing to help you.
So where do you see Curio, let's say, in the next 3 years? If we were to meet again in 3 years, where do you think you'll be?
I hope we'll be talking about an exit or an IPO at that time, and would have launched at least 3-4 products, at least in US. So that's what, we are hoping to commercialize by that time. We are hoping to have revenue, and we are hoping that maybe we'll be talking about a pre-IPO discussion at that. I don't know, but that's the goal.
Okay. Well, I hope it actually happens, very much so. You mentioned earlier that you're working with insurance companies, right? For the reimbursement, it's not a direct consumer kind of, which, many new digital companies are doing more direct to consumer. How did you land on the insurance company model, and how difficult is it to contract with them and get them to reimburse this?
Yeah, so as you rightly said, there's no straightforward pathway like an RX or a pill that exists for reimbursement, right? Many companies are paving that path or trying to do. I don't think so there's one successful 100% model yet today, which is okay, because this field is new to some degree. Digital is not new. Healthcare through digital is not new, but digital therapeutic, the way we are talking about, is newer concept, if I may say. But you have to understand the flow of economies in US healthcare system, right? And I've spent time on the insurance side. I was with Aetna. So looking at where the reimbursement happens and how the uptake happens. If physician has to devote time, we all know how stressed they are, and the reimbursement and their resources, it has to be something reimbursable, right? That it has to be the right thing for a patient, that's the foremost thing, but it also has to be reimbursement tied to that. So that was our decision that, if we have to take an uptake from physician side, from patient side, we need to make sure that we have insurance, all the P's together, right? So we need to have patient, provider, and payer all come on the same table and make sure that it makes sense for everyone. It is not easy, I would say. One of the biggest thing is you need to have evidence to approach insurance companies or payers. But I highly recommend, if you're thinking about going in this direction, to think through your evidence creation strategy. That's really important.
Are there any other digital companies, whether they focus on women or other or not? Are there any other digital companies you look to and think, wow, they're really doing something impressive to change healthcare?
There are many, and we learn from all of them, and I want them all to be very successful, because it's like, we all will be successful if they are able to figure out they're
Right.
ahead of us, right? But one company, and this is, I think, more than it speaks to me, so I'll mention them specifically, is Akili. And the reason I'm saying this is they are in ADHD, so children, and I'm sure there are a few others who I'm not aware of and who are working in this area. I have a teenage son, I can just understand that digital and kids and adolescent and teenagers, if you can give a platform for digital therapeutic for them, and ADHD is so much diagnosed and prevalent in the population. And if you can take away these kids from those horrible medications that have side effects and do it something digitally, I think I really like the cause and the space that they are focusing on. I love the fact that they are also focusing on a subpopulation, which again, in my mind, has a huge unmet need, like women's health. So, and they have collected some amazing evidence, and I'm a big fan of the way they have conducted some of their studies and trials. Others are good too, but I think the subpopulation that speaks to me more than
that one. Yeah, actually, it speaks to me because I've got a similar situation. So I think I'm going to explore that. Well, we only have a couple of minutes left. What haven't I asked that you'd like to talk about?
I think we covered everything. I would just say, we are also at a place where we are looking for more collaborations.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer that there is an ecosystem and all answers should not be coming from one place, right? So if there are people out there who want to partner and look for partnerships, and there is an opportunity to collaborate, I would welcome that.
All right. Well, we did get one question. How do social determinants of health figure into your efforts, particularly with regard to lower income patients? How do you balance the workflow and reimbursement model with the need to engage with non-medical organizations?
Yeah, so social determinants are actually one of the very important aspect in our platform. We all know that this condition is even more profound, in a socioeconomically deprived population. And we have been talking to some Medicaid programs, and maybe they are our actually first partners. I don't know how it will pan out, but that's we definitely are thinking about that. And as far as the workflow for non-medical, that's something right now our approach is through the healthcare system. So we have not looked at the workflow from a non-medical perspective, if I get the question right. Our workflow is more focused on from a hospital organization and payer perspective today. And maybe in the next step, we will look at how we do it for non-medical organizations.
Columbia question. So how, I guess you went and got your MPH well after you became a doctor. What was the interest there, and how how has that helped in this particular business?
One is I found my partner in crime in this, my, Dr. Eliza Nang. We both were like together.
Oh, what happened? I think we lost Shalja.
I think we just lost Shalja.
All right, well, I'm sorry that we lost Shalja, but I wanted to thank everybody for joining in today. I think she shared a tremendous amount in a very short time. Next up is Delphine O'Rourke, who is a partner at Goodwin, and that will be on February 24th. Obviously, HitLab is on social media, so follow them there. Thank you to Shalja and also to Stan and Justin, who does a ton to help. Hey, Shalja, we lost you for a sec. Oops, you're on mute.
I got cut off suddenly, but I'm back. I don't know
Okay, all right. Well, we were just thanking you.
Just threw me out. Sorry about that. No, I think you were asking me. Columbia played a very big role. You know, I met my partner, who's co-founder in this. Like, you know, we have been working on it together at Columbia, and we have actually our study that we launched is also with Health Innovation Technology Lab. So, you know, have been a big support in understanding and launching this. So it shaped my. One important thing I would say is that I did my MPH at Columbia. It helped me understand the healthcare environment really well. And it has been instrumental in where we are today and how we are launching our digital product. So.
All right, well, fantastic. So with that, I think we are at the end, and thanks to the sponsors as well. And Shalja, good luck. I can't wait for the IPO.
Thank you, Bunny. Thanks for inviting me, and thanks HitLab and Stan. Really appreciate it.
Bye, everyone.